Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another segment at Asaph Cafe. I am your host, Asaph Adonai, and immediately on my left, affectionately, our aging rocker, Emmett. And we have some special people here today. We have Joel Baird, the general manager, MCAT, and his family. I'll have you guys introduce yourselves.
Hi, Donald Moniz from Belmore, New York.
Joel Baird, and I'm here with my sister Liz and my nephew Kevin.
And we, through the magic of green screen technology, we are in the Shuttlecraft of the USS Enterprise in the episode Galileo 7.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Did you ever see that episode?
No, I did not.
It was the one where they went to this planet with these big, like 10 foot, 11 feet creatures.
Yeah.
These hairy creatures, and they had these spears, and they would spear a person when they saw them. Because the shuttlecraft was trapped on this planet, so.
It sounds really dangerous.
It
Oh, yeah.
was, and some of the, they axed off some of the crew members.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
Yeah, it's called the Galileo 7 is the name
It was
of
an
that
excellent
episode.
one.
Asaph, I was telling my family about the show that you do about the underappreciated supporting characters
Oh, yeah,
that one
that's-
comes across the television. And the example I used was the man who played Apollo in that Star Trek where they ended up
Oh,
in,
yes.
Oh,
in a kind of like pantheon of the
Yes.
Greek mythology.
Yeah, that was Michael Forrest.
Yeah.
Michael Force. He was like a bodybuilder
Yeah,
in
and
real
he
life.
played Apollo in the Star Trek
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that episode.
I
the
did,
real
yeah.
Big guy.
I think so.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And he had these powers, and so everybody thought he was a god, but Captain Kirk, he doesn't believe in God anyway, so
Yeah.
so he's always like, God does, mister. And it was just kind of crazy, some of the stuff that this Greek
Yeah.
athlete guy
Yeah.
put Captain Kirk through, bending phasers and things like that.
Well, Asaph, I'm wondering if you couldn't, since you just met this branch of my family, the Monets,
Okay.
could you tell them a little bit about your background, how you came to music, and how you're playing music around town and stuff like that?
Alright.
Because
Well,
they don't
as you
know.
can see, I'm a pianist, And this is going to sound crazy. See, I come from a military family. You know how military families are. There's always a parent that likes to drink gin or vodka or something. And my father used to drink vodka a lot. And then he'd leave the house and he'd come home with something brand new. This is when I was in the 4th grade.
Mhm.
We just got back from Taiwan, and he was stationed at Langley Air Force Base up there in Hampton, Virginia. So that's where we were living. And so my father would drink some vodka in the morning. He'd leave the house and come home with something brand new, like a toaster or sheets, curtains, whatever. Just he'd come home with something new. So one day he was feeling really good. He came home with a brand new piano. That's how this whole thing started. And my mom freaked out. She was crying. What
Was
are we
he
gonna do with this
carrying
piano?"
it with him, or how did it?
No, he had
arrive?
it delivered.
Okay.
He had made the arrangement, so they brought this
Wild.
brand new piano into our home.
And you were but in the 4th
I was
grade.
in the 4th grade when that happened, when we lived in Virginia, Langley Air Force Base in Hampton, Virginia.
And had you taken any lessons?
No,
or?
my dad just for whatever reason decided to buy a piano.
Lucky for you.
That's how the whole thing started. Yeah, it was lucky for me. It worked out, the providence of the good Lord. And so my mom was crying because she was too poor to have it taken back. So she started dusting the piano off, and it became part of the family. And I started messing around with it. Then 2 years later, I had formal training when we moved from Virginia
Wow.
to California. That's how the whole thing started.
Isn't
And they're
that
not going to leave the
something?
piano behind, so the piano came with us.
And you've been carrying around your
That's
candelabra.
how it started, yeah.
And you've been playing at the Patty Street
Yeah, when I
Market.
moved to Missoula, I didn't think I was going to be as well known as I am in the piano world. I just thought that this would be a city like any other big city, where like a zillion musicians, stuff like that. And I came here and I played at the Doubletree Hotel for 3 years. That's how I got started. Just playing at the Finnegan
In the lobby
restaurant.
there, they had
And then
that
I also
baby
played in
grand.
the lobby too. They had a piano in there in the lobby, so when people were sitting down at the fireplace or checking in,
nice.
I was in the lobby playing. That's how I started. And then I went into the Patty Creek Market's little mom and pop supermarket to get some toilet paper, and they just happened to have a piano in there one day. And the bakery lady says, "Hey, play a tune for us real quick."
Mhm.
And so I just sat down and was playing like Moonlight Sonata or whatever it was.
Uh-huh.
And the owner of the store was like, checking it out. He goes, "Hey, I want you to start playing at my store." And then the next day, the K-Pax News came in those cameras. Asaph is playing the piano in the supermarket. It just,
Yeah, it sounds colorful, right?
yeah, and they kept running that story over. They plastered my name all over the place. So that's kind of how I got out there in Missoula.
And another venue that Asaph frequents is the Southgate Mall. Like he plays at the Christmas season.
Yeah, we caught your family last year. I think
Yeah,
it was.
Mom was out there and Joe.
Yeah,
And I got a
the pictures I
picture
can show
of
you.
the three of you guys
Yeah,
out at the mall.
This year will be my 10th year playing at the Southgate Mall. So for the occasion, they made some Liberace costumes. I'm going to reenact all of that starting in November of this year. Joel will have pictures because he's
That
going to
sounds
film
great.
it.
Yeah,
That's
I'm going to
what-
film him.
Yeah,
Because
they
you've been
made
measured for
four
the
costumes.
rings, right?
Yeah,
As well.
My
The
fingers were
Liberace
fitted
rings.
for the rings, and my shoes will have the glitter
Yeah.
in the pants. And they made 4 costumes so far. One is
Wow.
lavender, one is pink, one is black and gray with a piano trim here, and it has the fluffy little cufflinks for the shirts that he used to wear, Liberace used to wear, and that little metal piece, they
Right.
reenact all that with a fluffy shirt. And they made the cape too, so I can flip it up this way. It's a tan colored cape with these black spots on the back
Yeah.
and the sparkle stuff. So
What kind of music?
I'll be doing Chopin and I'll be doing some Sinatra.
Mhm.
I'll
You like
demonstrate.
Backrack too, don't you?
Yeah,
Or Backrack.
like here, let's do some excerpts. Here's
There
a
you go.
piece of Night and Day.
What's Backrack?
Bert
Composer Burt Backrack.
Never heard of him.
Oh, yeah.
composer.
I thought I knew almost everything about classical music. Boy, I guess I was
Well,
wrong.
he's a popular guy. You know, do you know the way to San Jose?
Oh, yes, I love that song.
Well, he's a composer.
Oh, I thought you
So
were
this
talking
is
about
a piece of
classical.
nice
No, that's
Night and
Baccarat.
Day, you know.
Okay. Yeah, do you know the way to San Jose?
Yeah.
I love that song. I have it on tape.
So you
Easy
recognize it?
listening. Spinning dry.
I'll stop right there.
Night and day. They played that on
So
the
that's
Lunchbox
part
show.
of it.
Beautiful.
Or like the intro to Moonlight Sonata.
Yeah.
It's hard to do it on these electronic pianos, you know. as you
It's
can
hard
see.
for you to get the feel for it, right?
Yeah, just you see, it's just monotone, just kind of
Right.
bland.
Didn't I hear that in a commercial for an airplane or a car sometime?
Probably.
I would think.
Yeah, I heard that in a commercial on the news or
And
something.
here's the intro to Moonlight Sonata. So that's what I'll be doing at the mall.
Yeah, and you can mention the name of your costume outfitter since they're giving
Yeah.
kind of an in-kind contribution. What outfit is building you all those costumes?
Yeah, it's Rococo Bridal.
Rococo
Rococo
Bridal.
Bridal. They,
Nice
they
of them
designed
people.
they designed the Liberace costume, so there's 4 of them so
Wonderful.
far.
Yeah.
The costumes are being fitted and they're putting the sparkles on, so it's at their shop right now. And of course, we'll be doing some advertising, walking throughout the city with the
Yeah.
name on, handing out flyers.
Oh, I hope you have a great
Now,
season.
you guys will probably be back in New York by then, but you'll
Yes.
get to
I'll
see
be
it.
carrying those electronic images of your Liberace.
Yeah, so Joel can send it to you.
yeah.
So while you're here, tell me something about you, sir.
I love scuba diving.
Cool.
So, we've been going on a grand national park tour for the last week, so it's been great.
So you mean from New York, your family?
New York,
doing
yeah.
that?
Went to Grand Canyon, Zip
Excellent.
Bryce, Zion, and now we're hitting Glacier National tomorrow.
Excellent.
So
And you,
looking forward to
ma'am?
it.
I am a retired police officer, and now
Oh.
I'm off to golf.
Really? You were a police officer? Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, she was, Emmett, for a long time. And, was really close to the 9/11 tragedy.
Oh, yes.
You know, speaking of
Just
that, I
from
was supposed to
yesterday.
be in, they had the remembrance of 9/11 just yesterday.
At the Rose Garden Park.
I was supposed to be in New York the morning of September 11. I was driving a middle-aged lady to a family reunion. We left Montana on the 9th of September.
That year of 2001.
And we got halfway between Montana and New York, and she got sick, and I had to take her home. So by the time I got her home, it was September 11. We would have been going through the very heart of
Whoa.
where the Twin Towers were, because we had to go through there to get into Massachusetts. We had to go through that
That's
part of
something.
New York.
Well, you were spared.
And oh my goodness, that would not been good to have a lady with chronic fatigue
Yeah.
syndrome.
Oh my
Older
gosh.
lady trapped there.
No.
Yeah.
So that was like divine providence, I think.
Dodged a
And-
bullet, ASAP.
Yeah, and she just got really sick, and there was no way I could have driven her all the way. I turned
Wow,
around,
you
picked her
turned
up.
around by
We
Chicago.
turned away. Yeah, we're like 20 less than 20 miles from the Minnesota borderline, if I recall.
Oh, when you did the turnaround.
When we did the
You're in the
turnaround,
Great
yeah.
Plains.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of turnaround,
And so
I think
on.
our time is up.
That's
but I'm so
fine.
glad. Thank you, Moniz, for being
Anything
on
you want to
this
say
show.
real quick while you're on, young man?
It may have been brief, but thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, and you'll get a copy of this. We'll make a DVD. And it'll be on Facebook in a few hours from now, and YouTube also. You can see yourself. Feel free to use the link. Say, hey, we're on Asaph Cafe.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
nice
you,
to
Asaph.
see you,
It was a
Asaph.
pleasure.
Where
Have
were
a
you
great
police officer?
show.
What city?
Nassau
Thank you
County,
again,
New
sir.
York.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay, interesting.
Congratulations.
Interesting, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you,
Well,
man.
thank you, Asa.
You'll see the
Pleasure.
Liberace thing. I'll make sure Joel sends you some
Oh,
stuff.
I'm gonna.
Thank you.
All right, have a
Nice
good
to
show.
meet you.
See you,
Thank you.
man.
Yeah, see ya.
Take care.
Take care. Thanks, Joel.
You know it.
And now for the television audience, now that Joel and his family are
That was
gone,
interesting.
we are in, you'll see, we're in the Shuttlecraft
Yep.
of the Galileo 7.
Yep.
And Emmett and I are going to talk about the episode Galileo 7, and we're going to give a little tribute to Don Marshall, the African-American actor on the
Yep.
right of your screen there. You want to start us off, Emmett?
I forgot to pray. Heavenly Father, bless our soda pop and our time together in Jesus' name.
Amen. It was probably better to pray after Joel's family, since we don't really know them and their,
Good point.
and their
Mm-hmm.
religious beliefs, so I didn't want to make them uncomfortable. But I just want to state for the record, I'm not ashamed to pray publicly.
Same here, same here.
And now this will be more intimate, just you and I.
Oh, yeah.
And we are actually in the Shuttlecraft.
Yes.
Isn't that cool?
I'm glad Captain Kirk was able to provide a piano for you to play. And
Yeah, we can use our imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now
But-
let's talk about the characters. On the far left of your screen, that's Dr. McCoy.
Yes.
Of course, you don't see him because he's looking the other direction. And then behind me, Mr. Spock.
I wish this was the 23rd century. Maybe Bones could have given me something for my allergies and my other things.
Yeah. And then, of course, Lieutenant Boma, Don Marshall was his name, the African-American actor, and we're paying tribute to him. He's one of the first African-American actors actually to have a lead role in television. And
For
his
some
role-
reason, I thought it was Lieutenant Bowman.
Boma.
Oh, not Boma.
B-O-M-A, Boma.
Oh, I
Lieutenant
forgot.
Boma.
Do you want the secret ingredient?
Yeah, I'll
or
have
not?
some. And then our yeoman on the far right of the screen, I can't remember her character's name.
Yeah, nor can I.
She was the yeoman. But we're going to focus more on Don Marshall
There's
and on
Spock,
the...
of course. There's
and
Mr.
on-
Spock.
Yeah, Leonard Nimoy. And we're gonna focus more on Don Marshall and in the episode.
Yes.
The name of the episode is called the Galileo 7.
Yep.
And for those in the television audience who may not remember, Captain Kirk's mission, the Enterprise mission, whenever they would see a quasar in space, they were ordered to investigate.
Yep.
But before they did the investigation, their original assignment was to go to the planet Marcus to
Yeah.
deliver some supplies, some medicine supplies to that planet. But they had time before being at the planet, so they had to investigate the quasar.
Mm-hmm.
So Mr. Spock and his crew, and Lieutenant Boma, they go into the shuttlecraft to go check out the quasar, and they get pulled into the quasar.
Mm-hmm.
And then they wind up stranded on this planet with these big, giant
Oh,
creatures.
yeah, yeah. They're like Neanderthals or
Yeah,
something.
like 10, 12 feet tall.
Yeah.
And they would throw these spears at people.
Yeah, yeah.
So this was actually Mr. Spock's first command.
It was.
And they had to deal with that while Captain Kirk had to deal with finding him. And the planet that they were trying to find him on, because of the quasar, it caused their instruments to not work very
Yeah.
well. So they had to do things the old-fashioned way in their search.
Yep.
You know, searching the whole planet.
Yeah.
And they had only so much time
Mm-hmm.
to find Spock because Ferris, who's in control,
Mm-hmm.
overseeing the medicines to Marcus, had authority over Captain Kirk. So he gave Captain Kirk a deadline. So you find these people by this date, or
Yeah.
you're going to have to abandon them.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, time runs out, and so Ferris uses his authority and orders Captain Kirk
Yeah.
to abandon the search for Spock
Yeah.
and the crew. So they're going at space normal speed when they leave the planet,
Mm-hmm.
and then in a last-ditch effort, Spock does his first emotional
Yeah.
act,
Mm-hmm.
and he jettisons the fuel from the shuttlecraft,
Yeah.
which acts like a flare, a flare gun for help, an SOS signal. And so they're going around the planet. They only have like about 5 minutes before
Yeah.
it burns up in the atmosphere. and Mr. Sulu notices the line going across the planet.
Yep.
And Captain Kirk orders the ship to go toward it, and they beam whatever was in there, not
Yes.
knowing that it was the shuttlecraft. And of course, it saves their lives, and the shuttlecraft burns up in the atmosphere, going in the atmosphere.
Yep.
But that was quite an episode.
Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed it.
Because had they landed, they would have had to face those creatures again.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Well, they would have burned up in the atmosphere, so they wouldn't have even survived.
Originally, they would not have if Spock hadn't jettisoned
Yes.
fuel. They had enough fuel for one orbit around the planet and can land.
Yeah.
But when Spock jettisons the fuel as an SOS signal, that's his first emotional
Yep.
act. And of course, it saves their lives. And Captain Kirk says, "Well, you know, Spock, for the first time in your life,
Yeah.
you did an emotional thing." As Spock tries to logic his
Oh,
side
yeah.
of it. Well, actually, Captain, logically, that was the thing to do because, you know, we were trapped in space, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Captain Kirk says, "You're just not going to admit that for the first time in your life
Yeah.
you committed a purely human act."
Yep.
As Spock says, "No, sir. Mr. Spock, you're a stubborn man." "Yes, sir." Everybody
Yep.
starts
Oh, yeah.
laughing. So,
And I
that
think they
was-
were relieved also to have their best friends back because
Yeah.
can you imagine being ordered to leave your best friend behind on a planet knowing you'll never see him again to go to Marcus? I mean, what a horrible thing. You know, what a horrible dilemma, but you gotta obey orders. It's
Yeah,
like,
because they had to get those
Yeah.
medicines to that planet. That has
Yeah.
that priority. So I'll take some of that secret ingredient there.
Yeah. Because
But,
Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock were best friends. They didn't hug or embrace each other or anything, but
No.
they were best friends, you know. They were very close to each other, you know. Just,
Yeah. Thanks. So that was fun having Joel and his family on the cafe.
Yeah.
But now that they're gone, the television audience can see
Yeah.
who we really are in the shuttlecraft and see more of the Star Trek crew. So you doing all right?
Oh, yeah.
Good. I didn't get to play this.
But they were always trying to jettison the weight, and they probably would have jettisoned the piano. If the piano had been here, they probably would have jettisoned the piano.
Uh-huh. So I'll play this for you.
Thanks.
I love this song.
Oh, yeah, it's wonderful.
I'll play it all the way through for you.
Thanks.
Play it for Mr. Spock and the rest of the crew. This is one of my favorite songs to play. I never get tired of playing it.
Oh, yeah. Will you play it at the mall?
Yeah,
Please, yeah.
I do. It's my theme song.
This guy's in love with you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard on the Easy Listening Station, Easy 102 years ago. Oh, yeah.
I'll play it for you.
I wonder if I have it on tape anywhere.
Here's the conclusion.
It's like Dr. McCoy is looking at you playing the piano.
Yeah, it does. And the conclusion here. That's This Guy's in Love with You. Yeah, that's my theme song. So if I get famous, that's what you'll hear me probably playing that throughout
Wonderful.
my career. It's just such a beautiful song.
It is.
You know, it really is. Burt Bacharach was the composer.
Yeah.
You were asking who's
Oh, yes.
You were probably thinking classical composer.
I was.
No, Burt Bacharach was a popular music
Oh,
composer.
okay.
He wrote "Do You Know the Way to San
Oh,
Jose?"
yes, I love that,
Say
yeah.
A Little Prayer for You.
Oh, I love that one,
All
too.
those were Burt
I
Bacharach
love those,
songs,
yeah.
including "This Guy's in Love with You." He must have written hundreds of songs in that era. He wrote for the songs for the past, stuff like that. So anyway, they're beautiful love ballads,
Yep.
stuff like that. He wrote also "Raindrops Is Falling on My Head."
Oh, I like that song, too.
That's Burt Bacharach. B.J. Thomas.
Mhm.
He wrote for Dionne Warwick,
Mhm.
singer. He wrote, oh goodness, Herb Alpert,
Oh yeah.
Tijuana Brass, stuff
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, he wrote for all kinds of artists in the '60s,
Mhm.
rock rock. He didn't sing the songs; he just wrote the songs
Mm-hmm.
and so on. And that was an interesting period, the '60s. Roger Williams,
Oh,
playing
yeah.
piano, and oh goodness, Liberace and all the rest of those artists of that time period,
Yep.
stuff like that. The Mamas and the Papas,
Yeah.
the Rolling Stones.
The Vietnam War, the anti-war
Yeah,
draft, and I
yeah,
would have been a
and
hippie
all
with the
that.
anti-war draft, you
Uh-huh.
know.
And the Mamas and the Papas, Mama Cass Elliot, Mama Cass
Yeah.
Elliot, they called her. And these were all wonderful performers. Then they had the British invasion,
Yeah.
the Beatles,
Yeah, I was
the
born in-
Turtles,
yep.
the Animals, Tom Jones,
Mhm.
and the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
So,
I was born in 1967, December, so, you know, I really missed the 60s, but I was just a baby, but, you know, I was born
well,
in
they
that
still
time.
play all that stuff now.
Oh, they do.
House of the Rising Sun. Let me do that for you. See if you know it.
Yep, I do. I just didn't know the song name. Yep, I do.
The House of the Rising Sun.
Huh.
That's the name of the song. Remember this part?
Yep.
It's a pretty song. I'm gonna stop right there. But that's called The House of the Rising
Yep.
Sun. And there were some other memorable, notable songs in that time period,
Mhm.
the '60s, and the Carpenters came out in the '70s, I believe.
Yeah.
Karen Carpenter, Richard Carpenter, the Carpenters. We've only just begun.
Oh, to live. Oh, yeah.
And this song here, tell me if you know it. You recognize it?
Close to You. That's a good, easy listening
I'll
song.
play it
Yes.
for her. It's a beautiful song.
It is.
My pleasure to play for you.
Thanks.
Boy, those keys are hard to push down
Yeah.
on these pianos here. There you go. Close
Yeah.
to You. So, wonderful songs.
Yeah.
That's gonna be fun playing at the mall too later on.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'll be doing all those traditional songs and Chopin and Sinatra and all
Mhm.
that. Here's the Nocturne here. You'll recognize it. You recognize it?
Vaguely. Very vaguely.
This is called the Nocturne.
Huh. The Nocturne. Huh.
Yeah, it's called the Nocturne in E flat. Nocturne means night song.
Yep.
Nighttime. So you think of a like nighttime.
Mhm.
So anyway, you doing all right otherwise?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Good. So anyway, getting back to the science fiction, yeah, we're in the shuttle. We've never done a show in
Yeah.
the shuttlecraft.
Yeah.
We've been on the bridge of the Enterprise.
Oh, yeah.
Not the shuttlecraft. So this is pretty cool because it's more personal to me. you
Oh,
know?
yeah. Yeah.
And anyway, I want to focus on Don Marshall because he he was a wonderful actor.
Oh yeah.
He just did, I think he did like over 50 or more movies
Mm-hmm.
in his career. Mostly television shows. I
Mhm.
think it was something like 47 television shows. He did something like 7 movies,
Mhm.
film movies.
Whoa.
You know? He did a movie called The Interns.
Mhm.
He did a movie called Sergeant Riker with Lee Marvin. I don't know if you remember
No.
Lee Marvin. He was like this tough guy
Mm-hmm.
image,
Mhm.
character actor, Lee Marvin. And, I'm dating myself with these. But yeah, Don Marshall had leading roles in the movies and
Mhm.
especially television. That's what makes him unique, because in the 60s, there weren't a lot of opportunities for African American actors, as you know.
Mhm.
And Don Marshall was fortunate enough to get those opportunities, and I think it served as an inspiration
Oh yeah.
in Hollywood and the African American world. And he was very handsome, as you can
Mhm.
see. Extremely handsome actor in his career. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, we just wanted to pay this tribute to him. Now, we lost him in 2016.
I did not know that.
Well, he
Wow.
was like 80 years old.
Oh, okay.
But in his heyday, when he looked like how he is on this,
Yeah.
this is how he looked like all throughout the 60s and I think the 70s and
Mhm.
stuff like that. And he did a lot of Star Trek conventions, and he did
Oh,
a
cool.
lot of, traveling around. Did a lot of conventions for Land of the Giants, too.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah, he was in Land of the Giants.
Yeah,
wasn't
he played the co-pilot, Dan
Mhm.
Harrison. That was his most famous role. And, of course, that was a lead role, too,
Wait, are you saying there were Land of the Giants conventions?
Yes, there were.
I did not know that.
Yes, there were.
I did not know that. Wow.
Now, Land of the Giants was popular, but it wasn't as popular as Star Trek,
Oh, yeah.
obviously. But, they had Land of the Giants conventions. And they probably weren't as known as the Star Trek conventions.
Yeah.
But, because Star Trek overshadowed everything in the sci-fi world.
Mm-hmm.
So, Don Marshall did these conventions, and he wanted to do a remake called Escape from Giants,
Mm-hmm.
or Escape from Giant Land, I think
Yes.
that's what it was called. But he passed away before he got the opportunity to do it. He was working on a script to bring Land of the Giants back to the screen,
Interesting.
television, and
Mhm.
perhaps the movies.
Mhm.
And he was writing this script, to escape.
Oh, yeah.
Where they finally escape. And what it would have been younger actors on there
Yes.
that the original
Mhm.
cast of Land of the Giants had met on the giant planet, and some of the original actors that were physically older, they would have all been united to escape
Mm-hmm.
the Land of the Giants finally.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that'll never come to pass unless somebody
Yeah, yeah.
posthumously puts it together, because he was working on the script. He was actually writing the script
Mm-hmm.
for this show. That was his dream that he would talk about.
Uh-huh.
So, but yeah, Don Marshall left the world some great
Oh, yeah.
characters. He did some serious acting too. Well, not that Star Trek and all the others weren't serious, but what I mean by serious is like there were some movies that dealt with racial issues, civil rights issues that he dealt with in that time period.
Uh-huh.
With some of the shows he appeared
Mhm.
in. They would like have scenes where it would deal with racial issues
Oh,
and
yes.
stuff, and Don Marshall was part of that. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the shows was a show called Julia. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
No, I never did.
The actress Diane Carroll was the main lead role, African American woman. So she was one of the first
Mhm.
African American actresses, in fact, the first one to get a
Mhm.
lead role in a series.
Mm-hmm.
And Don Marshall was part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And what was interesting about this show, it didn't portray African American actors the
Mhm.
way Hollywood originally did. You look at the movies of the 40s and 50s, they were like servant roles and
Oh,
things
yeah.
like that. And after a while, that was not an accurate portrayal
Yeah.
of African American actors and actresses.
Yeah.
So the NAACP started cracking down on that,
Uh-huh.
demanding that Hollywood portray
Mm-hmm.
African American actors in better roles and servant roles, like
Interesting.
Gone with the Wind.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not trying to pick on, I think her name was Maddie in real life,
Mhm.
the actress on Gone with the Wind. She was
I
a-
never saw Gone with the Wind.
She was a wonderful actress, but she came up in a time period
Mhm.
where she didn't have much control and that's where they were casting African American actors and Asian actors and things like that. NAACP went after Hollywood in I think the mid '60s for them to give them better roles. So by the time Julia came out, like I mentioned, Julia was a nurse, which was unheard of, that there could be a lead actress playing this professional character. And it worked.
Wonderful.
Because it just portrayed not only African Americans, people of color, better than just people with broken English. You know how it was in the 60s and all that. They portrayed natives terrible in the movies.
Oh, yeah.
Calling them all kinds of bad names, and it was that's a misrepresentation of Native Indian people. The same with Asian people and African Americans and all the rest. You know? So Hollywood's finally getting it now. But it took some, breaking through, and Don Marshall was one of the people that helped break that through with Land of the Giants. Even though Land of the Giants isn't as technically as the movies today in 2019, it had a purpose. And I love Land of the Giants. I watched that show every day when I was a kid.
Oh, that was a fantastic show.
Yeah, it was such a cool show. They had some great characters on there.
It did. It really did. Yeah. Thing is, I was over in Seattle because my stepfather was in the hospital with having an operation. So we stayed in some hotels. This was 83, 82 or 83. I can't exactly remember. And so I was, just in a hotel. We even finally got out of a very bad hotel in the middle of the city to a nice hotel in the suburbs, and it was nice. I would have my coffee and treats, and I had my science fiction books, but I would want to see, is there any science fiction? That's what I was wondering. There was an independent, station, kind of one of those independent stations. We just had 5 channels back then. They didn't have any cable, and I think they would have something like Star Blazers in the morning, and some other sci-fi shows in the afternoon, and one of them was Land of the Giants.
Yeah.
I even saw it advertised. We will be showing Land of the Giants at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Dun dun, and it had this theme song. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. I'll check this out. What is this? I checked it out, and I saw that first episode. With the giant cat and everything. Yeah, I saw that, and I just was hooked. And I just, for the last 2 weeks or a week,
let's talk about that episode.
Land of the Giants. This was a really cool show.
In case you don't know, it was.
I haven't seen it since.
The synopsis of Land. Well, it's on MeTV every Saturday, but you're in bed.
I'm in bed.
Saturday night, Sunday morning, Land of the Giants. They show it every week.
Wonderful, except
MeTV.
If I had a DVR, I'd DVR it, but I don't have a DVR.
The only catch is it comes on like at 2 a.m. in the morning.
I'm asleep,
But the synopsis of Land of the Giants, in case there's somebody watching who doesn't know, or in case you don't know, they were on a flight from London to Los Angeles. And they had the technology where they would go into space, and when they come down, since the Earth was orbiting, spinning, they go up, and when they come down, they'd be on the other side of the world very quick. Because by going into space while the Earth is spinning around. So and they were in the spindrift. So when the spindrift shot into space to take them to Los Angeles from London, they got pulled into that mysterious cloud in space, which plunged them into the Land of the Giants.
Interesting.
That's how the
Wasn't it
series
another
started.
planet or something?
Yeah, the planet was inside this mysterious cloud that was in space, and it sucked them in there when they went into space. That's how the series got started. And when they landed, they didn't know that they were on a different planet at first. They didn't know they were in the Land of the Giants.
Yeah.
And so they landed, and of course, there was no reception because they were not on Earth. So the captain and Dan Erickson, the co-pilot, they went to go check it out. And then they realized something was wrong when they were investigating that they weren't on Earth. And this car just about runs over them at the beginning. It was this giant car, and then they heard these footsteps. Coming toward them, and they ran to the ship. Everybody, strap in, we're taking up. And the captain's like getting the controls going, and the stewardess Betty is like, "What's wrong? What's going on?" And the captain's like, "There's something out there. I just hope it didn't see us." And that music, you know that music?
Yes.
And then this big giant comes and picks up the spaceship.
Yeah.
And so then the spaceship takes off, right? It gets away from the giant. They realize they're in trouble. And then they didn't have enough fuel to get back into space to get out of there. So they had to land a second time. And then the ship becomes inoperative, and they had to deal with the giant cats and the giant dogs and people. And the people were afraid of the little people because technically the little people were more advanced because they had the spaceship, whereas the giants didn't have that kind of technology. They didn't have technology with walkie-talkies and stuff. So they were afraid of the little people. They thought the little people were a threat, stuff like that. So it was pretty intriguing series, stuff like that. And 40, 50 minutes have already gone by. We're almost out of time.
Wonderful, fascinating.
But I enjoy science fiction.
I love science fiction too.
And I enjoyed Land of the Giants. So that was such a cool series. Star Trek, of course, everybody likes Star Trek. 50 years Star Trek, And now they've got something like 10 Star Trek films, something like 3 or 4 Star Trek television shows, Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Voyager, Star Trek Enterprise. That was an interesting episode to television series. Enterprise, because that was supposed to be before Captain Kirk's time.
Exactly.
100 years before Captain Kirk's time. With Captain Archer. Who starts the whole Starfleet thing. Pretty much. And their top speed was warp 4, which was a big deal to them. Enterprise could go warp 4. Wow. So that was an interesting series. And then they've got some of the newer Star Trek, the 10 Star Trek films, the 2 Star Trek movies. And I think they're doing another one. Oh, they got a new one. CBS has a new one already. Discovery, Star Trek Discovery.
Oh, yeah.
That's already out. That's on the computer. You had to go to CBS.com to see it. And then they're making another series, I understand. But I don't have enough info on that. So Star Trek just seems to be going on and on and on. It's this interesting concept, Star Trek. So, but of course, I think the original Star Trek is the best.
Oh yeah, by far.
It may not be technically as brilliant as some of the later Star Treks or the movies, but it's classic.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Captain Kirk, you can't beat Captain Kirk. You can't beat Spock, McCoy. So anyway, it's a lot of fun.
And what was interesting about this episode and was it Commander Bowman or Lieutenant Bowman?
Lieutenant Bowman, B-O-M-A.
I want to call him Bowman.
I don't know. It's Bowman.
That he and Mr. Spock never got along.
Oh no, because he thought Spock was so heartless.
Yeah, exactly.
Because all Spock was into was logic.
Exactly.
They were in a bad situation. Yeah. And logic just didn't work.
Exactly.
But Spock didn't realize that, because sometimes you could do everything right and still lose.
I know. Yes.
Wrong. And it took human emotion and stuff to get them out of that pickle they were in.
And I thought that was brilliant.
Those 12-foot creatures with spears. And 2 of the members on this, or that you don't see them on this picture here, but they got killed by the creatures. And Spock was doing all the logical stuff, but people still kept getting killed. So the logic wasn't working, and that's why Bowman was so ticked off.
Oh yeah.
He thought Spock was a heartless machine.
Exactly.
And stuff like that.
Because even with Mr. Catano, Mr. Catano had died, and Lieutenant Bowman was out there, and Spock took the spear and was commenting on what period it was. It was similar to North Americans and this certain. And Mr.
that has nothing to do with Bowman's death. There's a dead man lying there. You can talk about a spear.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of thing.
And then Mr. Spock, once we needed to jettison some weight, and if this piano had been there, they would have jettisoned the piano.
Yeah, but see what it was is they had to get rid of 500 pounds.
Yes.
So since Mr. Gaetano was already dead, that was like 200 something pounds, and the other guy was killed too. One of the security guards was killed. And Spock was just like heartless, like, we still need to get rid of one more person. And
Yes.
Mr. Bowman's like, well, who are we gonna leave behind?
Yeah.
And Spock's like, well, I'll make the logical choice.
Yeah.
You know, and so they were clashing.
Oh, absolutely.
Spock's logic just was not working.
And even Lieutenant Bowman said one time, Mr. Spock, we would have a burial for Katana.
Yeah.
Even if we would have, if you were dead, we would have a burial. Even
Yeah,
if it
'cause
was
Spock
your
didn't-
body back there.
Right, because Spock wasn't comfortable with them having a burial for Mr. Gaetano
Yeah.
because of the creatures out there.
And-
But Boma was like, I'll take that chance because you know,
Exactly.
it's the principle of the thing, the dignity of the whole thing.
One of the characters, and I can't remember who it was, said, Mr. Boma! And then finally,
That
Mr.
was Scotty.
Yeah, Mr. Boma said, well, I'm sick and tired of this damn machine! You know, that
Yeah,
kind of,
uh-huh,
I'm sick and
yeah.
tired of this machine!
Yeah.
You know, and they never, and finally it was interesting. Mr. Spock had a great idea, which I thought would have worked. I would have done this, to get rid of the creatures. At first, Lieutenant Boma wanted to kill them.
Yeah, that's all they had to do was to shoot them. And that would have been the end of it, but Spock, all his logic, we just want to scare them.
Yeah.
And the scare tactic didn't work.
It backfired. It made them angry with the crew.
Yeah, it did because instead of shooting at them,
Yeah, they-
Spock ordered that they just shoot around them to try to frighten them. And all
Exact-
that did was tick those creatures off.
Exactly.
And so then, I'll take some more. And so, it didn't work, so that set Boma off against Spock even
Oh,
more.
yeah, absolutely.
And logic wasn't working, so Boma was upset. And then, everybody was getting killed
Yeah.
because of logic.
Yeah.
It was brilliant writing.
Oh, it really was, and even Mr. Spock said, "I've done all the correct things, the logical things, and this is hardly
And yet
illogical."
and yet 2 men have died, and everybody's upset at Spock.
Yes,
you know?
exactly. And
That's what
I
he was
angered
saying.
all of you, and I've done the logical things, and I'm sorry, but I cannot understand their illogical behavior. And Bones said,
and Bones is like, we need a little less logic and
Yeah, a little-
action, Mr. Spock.
a little less analysis and a little more action. Well, it's
Right.
perfectly logical to anyone feeling with you
Right,
know.
right.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why Boma and Spock were clashing.
Oh yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah.
And so when they wanted to lift off, the creatures were
Yeah.
holding the shuttlecraft down. They were that strong.
Yeah.
They were holding the shuttlecraft so it would take off. So they had to use the booster rockets.
Yep.
But
Yep.
by using the booster rockets, they wouldn't be able to have a soft landing.
Yeah.
And then when they were in space, last ditch effort, the remainder of the fuel, Spock jettisons the fuel in space.
I don't even remember the creatures holding the shuttle down. I thought they were just having a hard time lifting off.
No, you don't see it on camera, but they were saying that the creatures
Whoa.
were holding them down.
Wow.
They were holding the shuttlecraft.
Mm-hmm.
They mentioned it inside. You have to pay attention to the dialogue of the episode.
Oh, yeah.
The creatures were holding the ship down. That's how strong they were.
Amazing.
But when you use the booster rockets, they were able to get
Mhm.
away. So, but yeah, that was quite an episode.
Oh, yeah.
Quite an episode. And we got 5 minutes left.
Yep.
This was so fun.
Uh-huh.
It was fun being
Mm-hmm.
in the shuttlecraft, the Galileo Sevens.
And playing the piano in the shuttlecraft. That was great. Yeah.
Playing the piano in the shuttlecraft and Joel's family and so on.
Oh yeah.
So this was a lot of fun. But yeah, the TV audience, you gotta watch Star Trek. I think
Oh,
Star Trek will
absolutely.
live on in TV history indefinitely, probably at this point.
Yeah, well, and I still
Yeah.
love all the old episodes, and they're getting older and older because I was raised with Star Trek since I was age 5 and
Yeah,
6.
yeah, yeah.
And it's like, it's really bizarre. Even when George Takei said it was a book I had, I got it in 1980 or so.
Uh-huh.
It was all about Star Trek and interviews, and he said, you know, the show is becoming more and more popular, and the series is getting older and older. It's really bizarre. I haven't seen anything like this since Beatlemania, he said. You know, it's like, but
Yeah, Beatlemania will probably live on too in
Oh, I'm sure it will.
entertainment history, just like Star Trek will probably too.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate to the episodes. The characters are fascinating. I love
Yeah.
the lasers. The plots are great for the most part, you know, except
Yeah,
for
they
a
are.
few dots, you know.
There are a few episodes I didn't care for, but
Yeah.
it's brilliant writing, though.
Oh, yeah.
Brilliant writing.
How did anyone create this brilliant writing? I have no idea. You
Gene
know?
Roddenberry just must have been an extraordinary child with an
yeah.
active imagination to think this stuff up. Because
Oh, absolutely.
all this comes from Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah.
You know, he just thought up the idea of Star Trek when he was growing up.
Well, there were a lot of other writers besides Gene Roddenberry. I mean,
No, I
Gene,
know, but I mean,
yeah,
the
story-
original idea was.
Yes,
I
yes.
saw a documentary on him, and they were showing pictures of him very young.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that thought up the whole concept
Yep.
of Star Trek, probably in his teens, I guess.
Mhm.
He didn't say, but he created Star Trek. And of course, they had writers when he
Oh, yeah,
got the job
definitely.
with NBC to write Star Trek. So, but yeah, Gene Roddenberry left the world science fiction imagination.
Oh,
I guess, you know.
incredible, yeah. Now it's
stuff
this
like
own
that.
legacy. There have even been Star Trek old records, LP records.
Yeah,
There have
yeah.
been board games. There have been role-playing games. There
yeah.
have been miniature sets. I used to have a miniature set of it, that a model that I kind of made, when I was
Right.
5 years old, about them firing lasers at some sort of giant snake creatures. There have been model sets. I have the model of the USS Farragut
Right,
at
right,
home and
right.
that kind of thing. Just so Star Trek toys. Did I tell you, maybe this is something new, in the time remaining, did I tell you about the Star Trek set that I had as a 9-year-old?
Yeah, I think you did mention that story.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Basically, in case you didn't see, what I wanted for Christmas, and I saw the advertisement on Saturday morning cartoons, these Star Trek action figures plus a fold-out thing of the bridge with
Right.
seats and everything, even something you could transport. Well, I got it for Christmas, and I used it and made it my own Star Trek episodes, even other science fiction shows that I made up in my own mind with Space Wars. Some other friends of mine were really using it and wrecked it.
Uh-huh.
I didn't mind, I'd kind of outgrown it, so finally, when we were in Lewiston moving to Montana, we had to kind of ditch it. I mean, it was so totally trash, but that toy and those action figures got so much use. It was good money investment, yep.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, anyways, we're out of time,
Yep.
Emmett, and this went by very quickly. So, affectionately on my left, our aging rocker, Emmett.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we're in the Shuttlecraft, the Galileo 7.
Yep.
So this is way cool. And,
Mhm.
it's been fun. Thanks for hanging out.
Certainly.
Any final words? We got like 1 minute left.
There were these two dishwashers, and they saw a coffee cup, and they were sticking their tongues out at the coffee cup. And then this one washing machine came along and said, "I can't see around that!" Ah, ha, ha. Isn't that hilarious?
Yep. And on that note, until our next show, Maranatha. Well, make yourself at home till I shut everything down.
All right, come take a look.
Yeah, I have that episode on DVD because I have all the old Star Trek on DVD.
going to look like.
Yeah, wonderful.
How clear that is.
Yeah. I have all the episodes on DVD, so I have that one. That was fantastic. This does look like a mouse.